Praise Jehovah. From the heavens, praise his name. Praise Jehovah in the highest. All his angels praise proclaim. All his hosts together praise him. Sun and moon and stars on high. Praise him, O ye hem of heavens, and ye flies above the sky. Let them praises give Jehovah, for his name alone is high, and his glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted far above the earth and sky. All
Hello, 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 everyone. I hope that you are well. I hope that you're having a great day. I am Ortaria Pittman. Most people call me Tara, and this is Miss Sugar. Oh, hold on, Miss Sugar. And this is Miss Sugar. Say hey, hey, I'm Miss Sugar. This will be my co-host today, y'all. So we're just gonna come and talk about a few discussions. We're co-hosting with Sugar today because our co-host Lisa, cousin Lisa, is actually busy today. She is attending to a personal matter, and so we just want to say that we love you and we extend our sympathies to the East Macon Church of Christ congregation on the loss of our beloved sister Bernice. Our prayers and thoughts are with your family, Chris, and your sons, and we will be praying for them and their comfort. So today, I'm coming to you to just talk about. I'm titling it New Age, beliefs, but a lot of these belief systems have been around in some way, shape, or form throughout history. They've just been called, different things. And since I don't really have a nice, neat package to put it into, I'm just gonna talk about it, and you guys can call it whatever you wish. But I had the privilege of studying, with a spiritualist group, and it was very, very interesting. They were very sweet, they were very nice, accommodating, and they welcomed me and cousin Lisa with open arms, and for that we are very grateful. And so this is in no way, shape, or form a stab, a hit, shade, tea, or anything against that group. We love them. We consider ourselves their neighbors and their servants. So we serve them as well as God. And this particular discussion is not about anyone in particular, and it's not personal. It's just some of the things that we have learned along the way that I actually want to just put some questions out and have some dialogue about it. If anybody wants to come and talk with me, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to put the link down, like if you're on YouTube, I'm going to put the link in the chat section, and you can totally come and talk with me if you like. I welcome that. But if you are a little shy, don't worry. I intend on streaming this podcast like on a regular basis. I'm fairly new to this, so just bear with me, y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to talk about a belief that's kind of it talks about ancestors. So I want to say, if I understand this correctly, some people believe that your ancestors, those in your lineage, or those in your race, who have lived a life on this earth and has now gone on, who are deceased. It is a popular belief that those people, they either ascended, into like a higher being, and has been sent back, to guide those of us that are left, behind. I don't believe that, but some people do. And I respect you if this is your belief system. We respect all belief systems because the Lord has commanded us to walk peaceably amongst all humans. Okay, and so that therefore we will do that. However, with that being said, there are questions, that we have about this particular belief system. So, just to give you further explanation, now my definition of an ancestor is just one who is very, very similar to that, but one who may have lived this life. It could have been a grandparent, it could have been a parent, it could have been a great great grand. That is the type of ancestor that I understand. And when they're dead, they're gone. They don't speak back to me. They don't reach back to me. They don't even see what is going on here in my belief, and in my definition. So I wanted to just bring a few points, and then you guys, if you have questions or if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it further. But the more that I studied this particular topic, I noticed that there's really about two ways that we as humans get our information. One is going to be secular history. Okay, secular history. It could have been like our philosophers. It could have been, the people who actually went out. Some of the earlier colonists. It could have been some of the explorers. People who were in charge of, I guess, discovery of lands and things of that nature. Okay. And then secular history records, these individuals, their pursuits, their explorations, their discoveries, and things of that nature. So a lot of the information that we obtain today, we get it from secular history. The other way that we get our history, for those who believe in the Bible, would be the Bible. Um, Believe it or not, a lot those we're Westerners. We're considered to be Westerners, those who live in the United States. So I am talking to you primarily at this time. Westerners, um, a lot of our judicial system, a lot of our laws, rules, morals and values, they come from Bible, whether we know that or not. A lot of the time, people will say, that we are founded on the Bible. And I would have to agree with that to a certain extent. Um, and so, with that being said, a lot of the things that we know of, they come from God. Bear with me just a moment, y'all. My battery's dying. Sorry. All right, let me plug in right quick. Okay, now we're good. All right, so as I was saying, a lot of the laws, let's put it like this: whatever is right and wrong, all the things that are right and wrong, we get them from Bible. We wouldn't even know what right and wrong is if it was not for, the teachings that come from Bible. And so we wouldn't even know that there's a penalty for breaking law had God not given us this information. Okay, so with that being said, I always equate getting your information either secular history, which is man-made, or biblical history, which is supernatural. All right, so let's just talk about this for a second. If you believe that ancestors guide you, through this life, then I have a couple questions. Okay, so how can you trust a a person who lived a life, um and then they're coming back to tell you about how to live your life? um we all know that everybody makes mistakes in their life. Okay, how do you know that this person is somebody that actually learned their lessons and can actually teach you correctly? Is my first question. Secondly, um, apparently they met their demise as well. Whether it was early, late, right on time, not it doesn't really matter. Um, the point being that they left here. You know what I mean? So it's like you are no better than me because I'm going to have to do the same thing. So how is it that all of a sudden you have all of the knowledge that's necessary, when you're not even here to experience the new things, that are here? Like, for instance, an example, if my great 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 grandmother was alive, right now to talk to us, she would tell you she knows nothing about the internet. She don't even know what that is, because in her day and age there was no internet. Okay, so how, if she was my ancestor, right, and she was sent back to guide me or whatever the case may be, how could she tell me about like rules and etiquette and things of that nature of the internet that she knows nothing about? So I guess that's kind of like a question as well. So I tend to trust God, in matters such as that, because not only is He my creator, but He knows everything about um, everything, because He transcends time. He transcends, knowledge. He is the source and the giver of all knowledge and wisdom. So in that regard, he would know best. And if my ancestor ascended back to God, let's just say as an example, then again, they are not superior to God. You know what I mean? They're not inferior to God. So you would still wind up listening to God. So why would you need a middle person? Why would you need a middle man at all? Now, for all of the believers who actually believe in Bible, then you understand that we have a blueprint that was left here, that tells us about our past, present, and our future. But my question is more so to maybe the spiritualist community, or maybe, the ancestor community, if that's the proper term. I just wonder, where's your blueprint? You know what I mean? Like, where are your instructions? Um, in my studies of the spiritualist community, I came in with a question and I left with a question, because there is no answer to the question, honestly. I was wondering um, if it's so subjective, which it is, that particular belief system is very, very subjective. You would have some people who believe, that witchcraft is okay. You would have some people that believe that it is not. You would have some people that believe, that the deities exist, and then you have some people that do not. Is it literally is on a case by case situation. Everyone that you speak with, they have a different way of how they practice, that particular belief, and what their standards are, what their goals are, what their, doctrine is, their theology is. It's never any uniformity. There's never a standard. There's never anything to refer back to. You don't know what right and wrong is. There is no law to adhere to. So some people believe that if you do things against your own kind, that's wrong. Some of them believe that if you do something against your own kind, then it can be justified in certain instances. It's just organized chaos. That's like the nicest way that I can say it, because there's no uniformity, there's no law. So it's lawless. I would just say that. And where there is lawlessness, there can be no peace ever. You can never. So it seems as if the community is searching for peace, understanding, enlightenment, and all of those things, but you will never obtain it in that sort of lawlessness environment, or that lawlessness doctrine, because you will never speak the same. And that's the same as sin. Honestly, sin is like that. Sin is lawlessness. Sin is the breaking of all laws. You know what I'm saying? It's chaotic, and sin does not discriminate. Sin can be everywhere, and so It doesn't matter white, black, yellow, red. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's everywhere. Once it entered into this world, the floodgates were open and you can't close it, right? So with that being said, I want to kind of direct our attention back to the blueprint. So if you are a Bible believer, let's go over to Genesis 10, 6 through 12. Here I'm just going to sum it up, but the summation here is that we are seeing the sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and we are see after the flood of Noah. So these are the sons of Noah. And after the flood, we are seeing the repopulation of, the earth, okay, by, these sons. Okay. So the Lord, I'm not going to read it all, but the Lord is basically just, giving us an understanding of our history. So these, in essence, are our ancestors. And here's the blueprint to kind of give us an understanding as to where we come from. Okay. So you got the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Then the sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, Sabta, and the sons of Rama, Sheba, Dedan. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. And, so we're starting to see a little bit of our ancestry, whichever lineage you think you descend from, whether it was, Shem, Ham, Japheth, doesn't really matter. The context is still the same. The gist of this particular lesson basically is, in this day, God is saying that all through that land, you still had people that were doing wrong, okay, that were going after idols, that were choosing to not serve God, that were, and then you had a small number who actually chose to serve God. And it's no different, from what we see today. We see on every corner, there's probably a church or, something, that is saying, hey, come worship with us, da, 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 da. But, that's no different, from what they endured back in the day. God is telling us of our past so that we understand more about ourselves and our rebellious nature. People have always wanted to go after other things besides God. Humans, in our little history here, we have always been, rebellious. Once sin entered in, you've always seen a lineage, a line, some people who were just not going to obey God. And so as a result, it plunged them into lawlessness. And if this starts to, make a little bit more sense, it's because there's nothing new under the sun. The only difference in our generation and the one that we are reading about is, here on this side of the cross, we have grace and mercy, and previous, to Jesus, a lot of the people, would refuse to just listen to God. And so the blueprint that has been left for us on this side of the cross is his word, the Bible, the oracles of God. But back then, they actually had the voice of God through the prophets, etc. So when we are trying to figure out where we come from, what is this whole thing about? We have to go back to the source, those of us who actually believe in God. And one thing that I want to bring up here is this. Also in Genesis, you will see idol worshiping and things of that nature. Okay. Now, just because idol worship looked a certain way back then does not mean that it went away. It did not. On this side, and I'm just saying today, idol worship, it just looks different. Anything that you worship besides God, whether that be another person, whether that be the money, whether that be your house, your children, whatever it is, that is a idol. It is not limited to a statue. It is not limited to, a certain region on this earth. Idol worship is very, very broad. Okay. And so this is what has lured people away, in the past. And this is what still lures people away from God today. A lot of people, they feel like because they're not prospering the way that they think they should be prospering, the cars, the houses, the money, this and that, then God has forgotten about them. So therefore, they hate God and they want to go seeking after something else, that can maybe give them the desires of their heart. Okay. But God is not like that. God does not give you everything that you desire, He gives you what you need. Okay. And He has already told us that those things, material things, are not it. We don't need material things. Okay. So, I'm gonna wrap this up, but my point is this: if you go to Isaiah 11 through 12, okay, he also talks about what God did, for these people who rejected Him. Okay, and we'll just go to 11. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set His hand. Why are you lagging? Oh. Okay, I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, I'm back though. The devil is not gonna stop this message. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So basically, we were in Isaiah 11, 11 through 12, and God is saying that that it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set His hand again the second time to recover the remnant of His people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And He shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So the Lord Himself is basically explaining here, that He's only going to come back, for those who are obedient to Him. Okay, so if we understand that concept, then that should help us, in this day and age. Like the Lord said, He's only going to come back for His own. So those of us who are looking for or depending on, deities, other gods, ancestors, anybody other than God, God is not going to come back for those individuals. So that brings us to my next question. So my question, when it comes down to that those other belief systems, is okay. Since there's no blueprint, we understand that, there's no blueprint or anything like that. My thing is, what's the point of the belief system if it's not actually helping humanity. Okay. Um, if the deities or the ancestors are only helping, let's just say, those of their lineage, um, then that shows a bias, and that shows a respecter of persons, or a respecter, you know what I mean, mentality. And so, that again, there's no uniformity, because if your deity is bigger than my deity or better than my deity, then we have issues, still. Okay. Um, Another question that I have, for some of the spiritualists, is if there is some sort of divine information or divine leadership or what have you, um, why is there so much suffering still? Why is there a need to have hospitals? Why does the COVID exist? Why was Ebola here? Why were a lot of the plagues here? If people were being led by divine being, ascended masters, things of that nature. Why so much bloodshed in our human history? Wars, Holocaust, slavery, all of those horrible, sinful things, that have existed in man's history. And I'm talking about just man's history, not even just us Westerners. I'm talking about in the entire world. You still have genocide that is going on in Africa as we speak. We already know what's happening in Russia. You know what I mean? And so if these ascended masters and deities, are supposed to be guiding men and man, into better living conditions and better, lives, then why is the same sinful thing still here? Okay. Now, for the Bible believers, you could ask that same question and it would be fair, to say. And God has told us, the answer. He explains to us that because there is grace and mercy, that is in the world today, God gives us free will, so you have the free will to either do the right thing or do the wrong thing. And then at the end of your life, you will be judged, according to what you did in your flesh. Okay. So if you live a lawless, chaotic life, then that is what you will expect to receive at the end of this life. If you lived a nice, righteous life, then that is what you can expect to receive with the gift of heaven. If you obey God, I would just say it like that. Okay. Another question that I wanted to pose really quickly was, you know, a lot of I have compared some of the unorthodox worship practices and experiences to like fairy tales. Okay. I think we all probably have heard the story of like Jack and the Beanstalk. We allow our kids, to listen to stories such as this because, it has a logical lesson in it. So besides all the fairy tale hoopla, there is a warning that you shouldn't trade your sure bet on something that is not confirmed. Okay. Jack traded his last wages for magical beans, which took him on a wild ride that almost cost him his life. Okay. Today, that same message, if we were to apply that, do not trade your education, your logic, your morals and values on the word of some man or woman or, you know, uh, dead person, deceased person. You know what I mean? God is the only one in whom all answers pertain, to eternal life and where it can be found. And so one thing that we have to admit, even in our human history, the Bible has always been here. And it has survived, throughout the age of man, period. You know what I mean? We can't say the same thing about some of these other doctrines, because if you really trace your origins back, you will find that they started, somewhere in our human timeline. But we could go back and we can look at we can go back and we can look at some of the very early writings, the Torah, some depending on Hebrew or the Septuagint. It may be called the Pentateuch or the Torah, just depending. But we can go back and we can see those very, very early um, documentaries of, our human origin, and God, and learn all about him. The blueprint is there, so I would just encourage everybody to just do your homework. If anything, if you get nothing from this particular life, I would just say, just know where you came from, at the very least. Do your homework and just check, to see um, if you really believe what you think you believe, you know. And I'm so sorry about this banner, y'all. This banner is completely wrong. Let me put the right banner up here because we are not talking about this today. Sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, um, in conclusion, I'm just going to leave you guys with this. I'm not your enemy, because I chose to follow and obey God. I come from the Church of Christ. The reason why I chose the Church of Christ is because I can see it in the Bible. If you want me to expound on that one day, I'll be more than happy to do so. Actually, I'm going to, um, in a future podcast. For anybody who may be curious about that, but I come from the Church of Christ. I can find that in my Bible, in the book of Acts, chapter 2 to be exact. And I can see everything that we do in our worship practices. I compare it against the Bible. We sing, we pray, we give, we listen, and we learn about God. All of those things is exactly what the first century Christians were doing, when the church was established. And so that is the reason why I have chosen, um, to do that in which I see the foundation is being laid. So I would just, hope that everybody will just do the same thing. Just go do your research. Just know, what I'm saying, that you are sure, as to what it is that you believe. And then even when you think you are sure, keep looking, keep keep searching. I love you all, and hopefully next time Sister Lisa will be here with us, so you don't have to just listen to me only. But I love you, and I hope that I can speak with some of you guys. You don't have to be shy. You can come up and speak with me. We can have dialogue. I am friendly, very peaceable, and I know how to listen. So if you want to do that, please feel free. But until next time, thank you for your attention, and um, be blessed. Bye.